going on, fellas? Got another video from China Observer sent in by Emperor09. Appreciate it, big dog. I'll leave the link in the description below. Go watch it, subscribe, do all that stuff. But basically what's happening here is, I would say, reverse passport bros, where the women are actually flying in to China to meet a husband. And the women in China who are single are having a fit. Let's get into it.
China's older single women are facing growing pressure. A wave of foreign women have entered China's matchmaking scene. From Ukraine and Russia to Iran and Peru, from Germany and Sweden to South Korea, the influx has created a highly competitive market. What worries many Chinese women even more is that these foreign women are not asking for cars, houses, or bride prices. Most of them are also Gen Z. One Russian woman was seen at a matchmaking corner in Hangzhou looking for a husband. Do you think a guy like me would be okay? Take a look at Li Na from Russia. She's 1.7 meters tall, weighs 55 kilograms, and works as an actress and model in Hangzhou.
That girl looked like Scarlett Johansson when she played Black Widow.
She speaks most of the Chinese language, along with Russian and English. Do Russian women expect a bride price when they get married?
No bride price, but the guy needs to be financially stable.
How much money do you think is enough?
I make my own money too, so as long as he can take me out for good meals, buy me gifts on my birthday, and we can travel together, that's enough.
What if there's no house after marriage, and you have to take out a mortgage together and pay it off over 20 or 30 years? Would that be okay?
Yes, that's fine.
What's the most important quality in a man for you? Looks, height, income, education, or personality?
Hard work is the most important. He needs to have a positive and motivated attitude.
These modern women then already lost.
German woman born in the 2000s, 1.76 meters tall, was also seeking a match. She owns 2 apartments, graduated from Guangdong University of Chinese Medicine, and is not asking for a bride price. An Iranian woman of Persian descent listed her requirements. No bride price, already owns a home and a car, knows how to cook, wants children, and works in foreign trade with a stable income. Given her profile, it is no surprise that many parents have taken an interest. In a random street interview in Shenzhen, several Russian women said they hope to find a Chinese husband and settle in China. They describe Chinese men as good-looking but a bit shy. Most notably, they all emphasize that they do not require a bride price. For many older unmarried women in China, who once believed they had strong prospects, these developments have come as a shock.
This is terrifying. Foreign women are teaming up to win over Chinese men.
And you know what they continue to say? We don't require a bride price. What does that sound like? Traditional. Oh, I want a traditional man. Where do we hear that from? The women in the West. Oh, I want a traditional man who pays all of the bills, but I want him to go outside of traditional and cook and clean for me as well. And I'm going to sit up and do nothing. That's why it's a shock to you guys. That's why you guys fear it, because the men don't have to pay that bride price just to get married. Now you're literally at that point in time, not the prize. I don't have to pay money to marry you. And what does that sound like again? Men saying to these modern women, you are not special. You are not that unique. We're all in the same boat. I like you, you like me. We have the same common interest. Why don't we just get together? Until you think that you're better than him. But men are walking away from that. Men are staying single. Men are doing what? Seeing women from other countries come in. I'll pick her. Going to other countries. Passport bros. I'll pick her. Well, she ain't as educated as me. She don't need to be. She don't need to be. As long as she's supporting me and we're building together, we'll get the education thing straightened out.
Do you know what their requirements are? No house, no car, no bride price. They're willing to work hard alongside their husband, have children, and take care of household chores.
Yep.
They can even keep working to help support the family after marriage. With standards like these, how are Chinese women supposed to compete?
They're not.
This woman, who holds a master's degree from the West, shared her concerns.
An
older single woman shared her concerns.
I'm really scared that these foreign women are coming to China to take our men. I'm already 26 and I want to find someone and get married as soon as possible.
发现现在很多国外的女人
I've noticed that so many foreign women are coming here and competing with us for Chinese men, and they are already settling down. Some of them have had 3 or 4 kids with Chinese husbands,
Yep.
and they didn't ask for a bride price or a house. I really don't understand what they're after.
A 30
Happiness. Just the same thing most men are after. Happiness and companionship. They keep on hammering down on that bride price, and y'all won't let it go. At some point in time, y'all got to realize maybe in this economy, it's not as important as it used to be to pay that bride price. What does that sound like? Maybe it's okay for me to go 50-50. That's what we hear over here. Oh, I'm not going 50-50. I'm not going to do that. Okay, then stay single. Oh, I got to have a bride price. Okay, then stay single. What's going on, fellas? Got another video from China Observer. I'll leave the links down in the description below. Go subscribe, like the video, watch the original, do all that good stuff. Sent this video by Emperor09. Appreciate it, big dog. But essentially, I think what's happening in this video is reverse passport bros. And the reason I say that is usually it's men flying out to go find a lady in another country. But in this situation, women are flying in to find a husband. Let's take a look.
吧，现在相亲一角呀，出现了大。
China's older single women are facing growing pressure. A wave of foreign women have entered China's matchmaking scene. From Ukraine and Russia to Iran and Peru, from Germany and Sweden to South Korea, the influx has created a highly competitive market. What worries many Chinese women even more is that these foreign women are not asking for cars, houses, or bride prices. Most of them are also Gen Z. One Russian woman was seen at a matchmaking corner in Hangzhou looking for a husband.
你觉得像我这样的男生可以吗？
Do you think a guy like me would be okay? Take a look at Li Na from Russia. She's 1.7 meters tall, weighs 55 kilograms, and works as an actress and model in Hangzhou. She speaks most of the Chinese language, along with Russian and English. Do Russian women expect a bride price when they get married?
No bride price, but the guy needs to be financially stable.
How much money do you think is enough?
I make my own money too, so as long as he can take me out for good meals, buy me gifts on my birthday, and we can travel together, that's enough.
What if there's no house after marriage, and you have to take out a mortgage together and pay it off over 20 or 30 years? Would that be okay?
Yes, that's fine.
What's the most important quality in a man for you? Looks, height, income, education, or personality?
Hard work is the most important. He needs to have a positive and motivated attitude.
嗱，各位你女，你哋可能估唔到，
A German woman born in the 2000s, 1.76 meters tall, was also seeking a match. She owns 2 apartments, graduated from Guangdong University of Chinese Medicine, and is not asking for a bride price. An Iranian woman of Persian descent
This is second or third time I've heard bride price come up.
listed her requirements. No bride price, already owns a home
There it
and a
is again.
car, knows how to cook, wants children, and works in foreign trade with a stable income.
There's a barrier to entry for a lot of men is that, and it's the same thing with 6 figures. He's got to be making 6 figures. That's a barrier to entry. There's plenty of men that fall into being able to take care of a woman, but because they don't break that 6-figure threshold just yet, they probably will in a couple of years for some of them. But for some, maybe I never get that high. Maybe I get to a managerial position where I'm making 80K. Maybe I'm making 75. Maybe I'm at a assistant manager position where I'm making 60. That's pretty good. Me and you put our income together. We live within our means. And then we can raise a family doing that. We can have companionship doing that. But because modern women in the West, just like you see some of these women in China, they raise the standard so high that they cut out a lot of the men, then all of a sudden it's a problem. And now that's when the passport women, I guess I could say, are coming in and saying, you know what? I don't need no bride price. I'll take you. And now it has some of these women in China in a panic of their own doing.
Given her profile, it is no surprise that many parents have taken an interest.
有想过嫁到中国来吗？
In a random street interview in Shenzhen, several Russian women said they hope to find a Chinese husband and settle in China. They describe Chinese men as good-looking but a bit shy. Most notably, they all emphasize that they do not require a bride price. For many older unmarried women in China, who once believed they had strong prospects, these developments have come as a shock.
太可怕了！外国女人正在组队抢中
This
国
is
男人。
terrifying. Foreign women are teaming up to win over Chinese men. Do you know what their requirements are? No house, no car, no bride price.
No bride
They're willing to
price.
work hard alongside their husband, have children, and take care of household chores. They can even keep working to help support the family after marriage. With standards like these, how are Chinese women supposed to compete?
They
This
can't.
woman, who holds a master's degree from the West, shared her concerns.
你害怕那些國外的女生來我們
An
中
older single woman shared her concerns.
I'm really scared that these foreign women are coming to China to take our men. I'm already 26 and I want to find someone and get married as soon as possible.
发现现在很多国外的女人
I've noticed that so many foreign women are coming here and competing with us for Chinese men, and they are already settling down. Some of them have had 3 or 4 kids with Chinese husbands, and they didn't ask for a bride price or a house. I really don't understand what they're after.
A 35-year-old woman shared that she had previously turned down many eligible men because they could not meet her expectations of a 300,000 yuan bride price and a 20,000 yuan monthly salary. Now, she regrets it, realizing how competitive the matchmaking market has become. She admitted that the situation is overwhelming. Many people are curious. What exactly is attracting foreign women to Chinese men? One commentator explained that some Western women see Western men as too carefree and South Korean and Japanese men as overly traditional. In contrast, Chinese men are seen as hardworking, caring, and family-oriented, making them ideal husbands. With this shift, Chinese men are now in high demand, and the era of them having to chase after women may be coming to an end. One Ukrainian woman, Yulia, was fortunate to find a Chinese husband who is deeply devoted to his family. Born into a wealthy household, she married a man from Inner Mongolia who is 9 years older than her. She did not ask for a bride price and even contributed 50,000 Ukrainian hryvnias as part of her dowry. After marriage, her husband treated her with great care, and they soon had a baby. However, when the war in Ukraine broke out, Yulia's grandparents' city was hit by airstrikes. Worried for their safety, her husband urged her to convince them to move to China, assuring her that he would cover their expenses and take care of them in their old age.
Isn't that something? What would y'all call that? I would call that a protector and a provider. But this protector and provider doesn't hit the threshold because he doesn't make enough money. The man said, hey, come over here. I'll take care of whatever you got. I'm going to help you guys get established. You got a lot going on in your home country. Come over here. I help you guys get established. But because modern women, just like these women over here in China, they think limited, their critical thinking is shot. They're not worried about any type of man unless he makes above 6 figures.
After much persuasion, the grandparents agreed to relocate. Once in China, the grandson-in-law not only bought them a home, but also provided them with attentive care, treating them like his own family. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Yulia's grandfather often teared up and told him, I think Yulia is really lucky to have married him. A few months
Now, to be fair, when you're going to a different country, it's a totally different culture, totally different set of rules. So you have to learn that. So I understand moving and having to learn all that stuff is going to be difficult, right? And I think when you're moving even as a passport bro and a passport girl or woman or whatever, passport sis or whatever you want to call it, you're going to have to work hard to learn the culture, learn their background, and respect that.
before, a young man from Shanxi married 20-year-old Russian bride Solomanka Olga. His family treated her with warmth and kindness, and their married life has been filled with happiness. Another Russian woman who moved to a rural village in Guangxi has embraced a peaceful countryside life.
Yep.
完了空说现在去做
Come pick some sweet potatoes. The tangerines I'm eating were picked fresh. What about you? They're great. There's no way I can finish them all. I'm full now. I'll help you pick some.
There is also Minas, an Italian woman praised as the most down-to-earth foreign woman. Minas hails from a wealthy family in northern Italy and grew up in a life of comfort. At 20, she came to China to study and met Kanong, a man from Guangxi. Born into a poor rural family, Kanong worked hard to become a photographer. Minas was moved by his kindness, sincerity, and eventually married him, settling in his rural hometown. Initially, many doubted their relationship, believing that Minas, with her beauty, would not permanently settle with a rural man. Moreover, even if they loved each other, they feared she would be overwhelmed by the challenges of rural poverty. Contrary to expectations, Minas quickly adapted to and embraced rural life. She mastered various skills, including planting rice, fishing, harvesting fruit, and even driving a tractor. Her kindness shone as she cooked Chinese dishes and shared them with the village elders, endearing herself to the entire community. Today, the couple has 2 beautiful children, and Kanong has attracted millions of fans by sharing their happy rural life online. Some people have questioned Mina's decision, suggesting that she should move to a big city to pursue a more exciting life. In response, Mina stated that she is genuinely happy in the village. She loves the beautiful landscapes, the warm community, and most importantly, the love and care from her husband.
If they ain't gonna do anything else, they're gonna make sure they ruin your life. If modern women don't do nothing else, they don't do anything else, they're gonna make sure they ruin what you got going on.
She described her life as peaceful and fulfilling. Different people have different aspirations. Some prioritize material wealth, while others seek emotional fulfillment. Minas clearly falls into the latter category, a mindset that may be difficult for those focused on bride prices, houses, and cars to understand. Somewhere along the way, Chinese men have gone from being overlooked to being highly sought after. Even when traveling or working abroad, they often attract the attention of foreign women who approach them directly. One such case involved a Chinese businessman in Russia. During a business meeting, a Russian lawyer unexpectedly introduced her daughter, a second-year university student, and suggested that she marry him and move to China. The businessman remarked,
大家好，我这几天正好在
His daughter is absolutely beautiful, almost 20 years younger than me. At first, I thought the lawyer was joking, but after getting a translator to confirm, I realized it was true. I was completely shocked. A Ukrainian woman named Vero met a Chinese man online. The two had a strong connection, and eventually she traveled across thousands of miles to China to meet him in person. The topic of international marriages and welcoming foreign brides has sparked widespread debate. Online discussions have split into different camps, with heated arguments on both sides. Some Chinese women have criticized the trend, claiming that these foreign brides are disrupting the local marriage market. Some have even taken an extreme stance.
Y'all don't want them anyway. So what y'all upset about? Y'all not trying to... The reason these men are there is because y'all didn't want them in the first place.
Equating international marriages to human. However, many men support the trend.
Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right.
Some have pointed out that the foreign wives, especially those from Southeast Asia, are hardworking and have fewer demands, making them well suited for a stable family life. This is particularly true for young men in rural areas, where the financial burden of bride prices, housing, and cars can be overwhelming.
You know, going back to the comment about the human, and I probably have to take that out for the platform, about the human moving around illegally. Modern women say anything. They verbally mishandle people on a regular basis and wonder why they can't get their way. Wonder why people don't want to be bothered with them.
For them, marriage often means depleting their family's entire savings, making foreign marriages a practical alternative. Despite the ongoing debate, the trend of Chinese men marrying foreign wives continues to grow. In Guangxi and Yunnan, a large number of single men have married women from Vietnam, Cambodia, and Myanmar. A Chinese man shared his experience.
讨老我媳妇的好处。
Only those who have married a Lao wife truly understands the benefits. This is my wife. She cooks 6 dishes for me every day, and I've gained over 10 pounds because of her cooking. Lao women are just like any other women. They have their own thoughts and emotions. If you treat them well, they'll be kind and caring in return. It's all about mutual respect. Many people have pointed out that China's severe gender imbalance, with 32.4 million more men than women, will inevitably put pressure on the marriage market. Marriages with Southeast Asian women may help reduce the number of unmarried men and even contribute to an increase in birth rates. According to China's Ministry of Civil Affairs, in 2020, 10,054 Chinese men married foreign women, while only 7,137 Chinese women married foreign men. The percentage of Chinese men marrying foreign wives has now reached nearly 60%. In Guangxi, the number is even more striking. 92% of international marriages there involve Chinese men marrying foreign women. A popular saying in Guangxi reflects this trend. If you can't find a wife, a Vietnamese bride is the solution. No bride price, no need for a house, and they're good at both housework and socializing. This is largely due to economic differences. The average monthly salary for a Vietnamese man is about 2,200 yuan, meaning that a Chinese man earning 5,000 yuan a month is seen as a great catch in Southeast Asia.
And they probably want even more than that. I think from what I've heard, that a lot of these women in the city, they want a man making at least 300,000-400,000 yuan, and then the bride price has to be somewhere around 100,000. Then they have to have a car, a house, all of those things. These modern women continue to price themselves out of the market.
However, in China's domestic dating market, that income level provides little advantage. A young Vietnamese woman from a rural area was asked how much bride price is typically required to marry a Vietnamese bride. She responded,
In Vietnam, a groom only needs to offer a cow, like the one behind me. It can sell for about 8,000 yuan. Some families even accept half a cow. But for a Chinese groom, the bride price is usually 10,000 to 20,000 yuan. That shouldn't be too high for Chinese men, right?
That's attainable. That's attainable if he's making 2,000, did they say? 2,000, 2,500, 25, somewhere around there, 2,500 per a month. That's going to be tough, but it's something that I think a lot of men will say, okay, I can work towards that. But if you're saying something like 180,000, 60,000, it's like, nah, it's not going to be for me. There ain't no way that I can ever get something like that. And you price yourself right outside of the market and right away from happiness is what these modern women are doing.
Right? Honestly, if someone truly loves me, I wouldn't even need the money.
In China's dating market, some women have set exceptionally high standards. Men earning less than 200,000 yuan per year are often overlooked, as they are seen as having no competitive advantage.
Yep.
For these women, an ideal partner must have luxury cars, a villa, and a million yuan salary. Anything less is dismissed outright. Some men have responded to this trend with humor, saying the issue is not about affordability, but about better value. Many women have encouraged men to see the world, and now it seems they are truly doing so. A matchmaker in Zhengzhou shared an experience.
I met a great guy here, but he was dead set on marrying a Japanese woman. I was really confused and asked him, "Do you really think Chinese women aren't good enough?" He said, "Women in China have too much leverage now, and he just can't afford to deal with it."
She explained that the man further clarified his reasoning. According to him, Chinese women have high expectations and bride prices are expensive. Despite having the financial means, he finds that many are unwilling to cook or do housework and often exhibit a princess attitude, demanding constant reassurance. He questioned why he should spend money only to encounter continual stress. In contrast, he mentioned that Japanese women, given financial security, are attentive and understanding in caring for their husbands. He saw no reason to prefer marrying a Chinese woman. Meanwhile, a matchmaker was chatting with a friend.
See that guy over there? He makes $1 million a year, but he's been on more than 30 blind dates and every single one failed.
Huh? Why? He looks fine, tall and slim.
Because he insists on checking the medical records and hotel check-in history of every woman he dates.
Dang.
Is he serious?
Yep.
He's not crazy. He just knows exactly what he wants.
And that man is probably checking those hotel records to see how many dudes you've been in and out of that hotel with, where exactly you've been. I think this sounds like, to me, another version of what's your body count, who you've been hanging around. I'm telling y'all try to shame men out of doing this, and there's some men that be like, oh, no, all right, I'll step off it. But when the man that's got the money says no, when I didn't have no money, I meant what I said. And now that I have money, I'm going to show you. I meant what I said. You've been out there fooling around. But let's see what he says.
He says he can't accept marrying a woman who partied with other guys and then settle down with him just because he's a nice guy.
Nope.
He doesn't want to spend 3 generations worth of family savings to buy a house and car for someone who used him as a backup plan, only to give her a luxurious life. If that's the case, he would rather stay single forever. I have to admit, after hearing that, I really understood his perspective. This guy sees things very clearly.
For highly educated older single women in China, competition from Southeast Asian brides has not been a significant concern. These brides typically marry into 3rd and 4th tier cities or rural areas and come from modest backgrounds. However, the trend of marrying foreign women has expanded to include those from Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Japan, South Korea, and even Germany, Sweden, and Italy.
Y'all better get
These
with
women
it.
are not only attractive, but also often well-educated and financially independent. Predominantly from Gen Z, they pose new challenges for single women in China's major cities. A young man from Jinan recently married an Italian woman named Camilla. To welcome her family and friends, he hosted a lavish banquet at a top-tier restaurant and held an extravagant wedding ceremony. Observers praised the couple, calling them a perfect match. Some commented on the event's grandeur, suggesting that the groom's family must be very wealthy. Others noted that China's most eligible bachelors are increasingly being chosen by foreign women. At a matchmaking event, a Russian woman was introduced to 7 potential suitors. Each of them had strong credentials. Some came from well-off families, others had successful careers, and some had high academic achievements. The competition was intense, and women waiting for their turn to meet potential partners appeared visibly discouraged. A woman from Peru also attracted significant interest. In the end, she chose a doctoral student from the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing. While international marriages often appear romantic, they also come with challenges, including cultural differences, language barriers, and lifestyle adjustments. Even within China, customs and traditions can vary significantly between regions. Marrying someone from another country can introduce even greater differences. The cultural gap in international marriages can sometimes turn initial happiness into long-term frustration. A lasting and happy marriage depends on mutual love and commitment from both partners.
Yep.
Meanwhile, China's dating culture has continued to spark debate. Some women's expectations have surprised both domestic and foreign audiences. In one video, a 38-year-old woman shared the requirements she had set for a potential husband. She listed 5 conditions.
我今年38岁前几天
First, a bride price of 300,000 yuan. Her husband must be home by 10 p.m., and if he is late more than 5 times, the relationship ends. Second, if he is unfaithful, the marriage ends, and he must pay 100,000 yuan in emotional compensation. Third, she will not take care of his parents if they fall ill, stating that it is his responsibility, not hers.
Okay.
Fourth, his salary must be handed over to her with only 1,000 yuan per month allocated as his personal spending money. Fifth, she dislikes socializing and does not want to be pressured into interacting with his extended family. Additionally, under any circumstances, the bride price would not be refunded in case of separation. Upon hearing these conditions, a Russian woman in the video shook her head and responded,
This is a disaster. If a couple is constantly preparing for a breakup, they won't last.
Can't
A
do
woman
it.
like that will find any excuse to leave her husband. And because she won't have to return the bride price, it's terrifying.
No incentive.
She has no trust in her future husband at all.
And this is the exact reason that men are walking away. That's it. That's why they don't want to get married to you guys. That's why they don't want to commit. This sounds a lot, once again, like women in the West. Women here in the States. Y'all do all, if he gonna leave you, make him buy you a property. Make him buy you, get you a bag or something like that. So that way you don't waste your time and you don't leave the relationship with nothing. The man's leaving the relationship with nothing. Why is it any different for you? Oh, well, they always want to be compensated. They always want to be made whole. The man dates you and after y'all split, you don't even want to give him the engagement ring back. It's your decision to give him his stuff back that he paid for. Y'all are not together anymore. What does it matter? Give him his stuff back so maybe he can go recoup what it was that he lost. But they don't want the man to win at any turn. They never want the man to win. It's always got to be in the modern woman's favor. And that's why you're seeing these men over in China say, you know what? she's not from here, and we're going to have an uphill battle learning each other's cultures and the way we were raised, the way we grew up. But it's a lot more attainable and achievable to work with this woman than it is somebody in my own country. Who else says that? You guessed it. The average man in the United States. I would rather go for this woman or that woman. I would rather go over here than sit up in another woman's face telling me I'm ugly, I'm medium ugly, I don't have enough money, and I'm making good money by any stretch of the imagination. I've got a nice circle of friends. I've got good hobbies. But because those hobbies don't align with what she wants, in service to her, in servitude to her, then all of a sudden it's a problem and I'm a bum. I'd rather go find somebody else. I also wanted to look at this one as well. It's from China Observer. Once again, I'll leave the link down in the description below. But you have modern women in China furious as a new marriage law comes down. So I want to look at that because apparently these women are trying to take money out of these men's pockets. But there's a new law that's going to stop all that.
Right now, what scares me the most isn't that people born in the 90s won't have children or that those born in the 2000s won't get married. It's that people born after 1980 are even supporting their children's choice not to marry or have kids. Especially since the new marriage law came out, more people are choosing not to get married or have children. Can you believe it? In the future, no matter how well a woman cleans, cooks, or takes care of the kids, if she doesn't earn money herself, she will end up with nothing after a divorce. This is because the new marriage law protects personal property. If you didn't earn the money, you won't get a penny of it.
Oh, God.
On February 1st, China...
I can see that why that would make you upset. I can see why that would make you upset.
The Supreme Court introduced the second judicial interpretation on marriage and family in the Civil Code, known as Marriage 2. On Chinese social media, many people say that Marriage 2 is forcing women to wake up. They argue that the person who earns money gets the protection, that full-time housewives deserve to be treated like workhorses for men, that housework is seen as free labor, and that women cannot expect any compensation for the toll on their health from childbirth. The clickbait headlines have attracted a lot of attention, but they hide a much more complicated and absurd reality. This legal reform is not a savior for anyone, nor is it the end of the world. Instead, it reflects the deep social conflicts and political control in China, showing how the government uses the law to cover up social problems and strengthen its grip. Article 5 and 8 of Marriage 2 state that whether a house is given by the man to the woman or bought with money from the man's parents, even if the woman's name is on the deed, it can still be awarded to the man. In other words, no matter if the house was bought before or after the marriage, having your name on the property deed doesn't guarantee that you'll get it in a divorce. As long as you paid for it, the house will be yours. That sounds great, especially in a country where it takes the savings of 2 generations to buy a home. But in reality, it's not that simple.
Why don't they mention the first clause of Article 5? With a prenuptial or postnuptial agreement, even if the woman's name isn't on the house, the property might still be awarded to her. And why don't they talk about the second clause of Article 5? It explains under what conditions a man can take back a house he gave to the woman. For example, if you have a quick marriage and a quick divorce and the man is not at fault, the court will still consider factors like the length of the marriage, whether you had a child, fault, and each partner's contribution to the family. In such cases, the man may be required to compensate the woman. The same logic applies if the house was bought with money from the man's parents. The court will look at whether you had children and your contribution to the family. For those who say that women are being taken advantage of when doing housework and that any loss from childbirth cannot be compensated, Article 21 clearly states that if a woman stays at home to take care of the children, does the housework, and even helps her husband with his work, the court will calculate compensation based on the time and effort invested and its impact, using the local average disposable income. This means that the invisible contribution of full-time housewives are finally being recognized as measurable economic value.
So y'all got protections in there so far. But it sounds like they're making it a little bit more fair in some aspects. And then I can see why some people would be upset in some other aspects.
Moreover, after this reform, there's no cap on the compensation amount. It depends on the local income level and the family's financial situation. In wealthier families, housework is considered more valuable, and the compensation awarded in a divorce could be surprisingly high. Take the case in Shanghai, for example. A man took out a 10 million yuan loan before marriage to buy a house. When they divorced, the house went to him, but because the woman stayed home full-time for 8 years to take care of their child,
pay her for
the
that.
court ordered a 5 million yuan compensation in her favor. The man
Makes
kept
sense.
the house but ended up emptying his savings. If he didn't
Makes
have
sense.
cash, the house might have to be sold.
Mhm.
With the current weak real estate market, it might not sell for a good price, and in the
Fair.
end, the man could be left in debt while the woman leaves with money. The clauses are written clearly.
Well, she wasn't getting paid, so that essentially in that moment would be back pay.
But most people don't read them carefully. They prefer to listen to oversimplified summaries, which leads to misleading interpretations from the start. Marriage 2 clearly shows a bias in favor of women. Its root lies in Article 1087 of the Civil Code, which states that in dividing marital property after divorce, priority is given to the children, then to the woman, then to the faultless party, with the woman even taking precedence over the faultless party. Why? Because the government doesn't care about who is right or wrong. What it fears is that women, after a divorce, might be left without money or skills, turning them into a potential social bomb. As a result, men are forced to pay a youth loss fee, and even the property of their parents might be divided by the judge under various pretexts. For instance, in one case, a family with assets of only 300,000 yuan ended up with a woman being awarded 500,000 yuan. The judge simply extracted a childbirth fee from her in-laws' 700,000 yuan house. Just because the house is in his parents' name doesn't make it safe. These moves may be legal, but they're shameless. The government's so-called protection of the weak simply shifts the welfare that should be provided by the state onto individuals. Some people claim that the fact that the property goes to the one who paid for it solves the problem of scam marriages. While that does play a part, the real reason is that judges have always ruled on the idea that a man's money should make up for the woman's share. This isn't the judge's own choice, it's a requirement from above. For several years, cases have been decided this way, and the new law simply gives judges cover so they don't have to take the blame. With more people resisting, some judges have even lost their lives because of it. The new rules merely put those unspoken practices on the table. The 2013 case of Li Dashan in Beijing is a clear example. In Changping, Beijing, there were more than 40 houses on rural land, with the affordable houses valued at 1.96 million and the welfare houses at 1.28 million. After the divorce, his ex-wife took all of the affordable houses, barely leaving him with barely over 10,000 in compensation. It was outrageous, but completely legal. The case was handled by the well-known judge Ma Caiyun, who was later in 2016 as a result of extreme backlash from such rulings. Instead of rethinking these decisions, the authorities have now enshrined the bias in the new Marriage 2 rules to protect judges from criticism. Fairness in individual cases simply does not exist. Stability is the top priority.
What are y'all thinking right now? What are y'all thinking right now? I could see how, the title says gold diggers are furious as new marriage law strikes. They'd be upset because they try to go in with the sham marriage. Okay, I'm just going to go in, try to get this, and this out of you, and then head back out. So it's not going to work for you. But for women that they're actually in it, and the man tries to say, okay, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to leave you with nothing. They're trying to protect them from that, which I get it. I understand it. Okay, right? But what this video is saying to me is it's almost like you guys are still trying to give the women the majority of the stuff. So what is that going to lead men to do? What are y'all thinking? I know what I'm thinking. Men staying single. Men not get married. Where are all the men at? Why don't they approach? Why don't they want to commit? Why don't they want to pursue? Why don't they want to court anymore? That's what I'm thinking right here. If you're going to take, okay, give me my house, right? But then even sometimes my house isn't safe. So really nothing that I have is safe. Pretty much depending on the situation, depending on how you see it, and RIP to the judge, depending on how you see it, you can really suck me dry. Like you can pause. you can really clean me out. You think that men are going to take that chance unless they're absolutely sure? Even going back and saying, okay, a prenup or a postnup is not going to help. That we can still come through and take this, and this. You think a man is going to want to get married? Like I said, I'm married, but I can understand with stuff like this, as far as I've heard, Why would a man get married? Why would he want to get married unless he's absolutely sure everything is going to work in his favor, or he's got a lot of stuff working in his favor?
The CCP's laws have never been about true justice. Judges' so-called discretionary power is just a mask for political will. Although the clause, the property goes to the one who paid, sounds appealing, in order to ensure the woman's future, the court will still take away the man's premarital assets and even his parents' money. With Social Security unable to help these women, the ex-husband ends up carrying the burden. In first-tier cities, especially in places like Beijing where property is worth millions, middle-class families have long been targeted. Now, even liberal arts graduates from top universities find it hard to secure jobs, and marrying into a wealthy family has become a shortcut. In divorce, these women use claims like lost youth and household contributions to...
But you didn't lose the reason you lost your youth was because you're playing around with a liberal arts degree. What are you guys thinking? I got to ask you that once again. What do a lot of these women what are they going to? These useless degrees, and they can't find a job. So what are you hearing? Share a 7. All of these other dating coaches, female dating coaches, that are talking about, do this, go here to try to find a rich man. Be here at this time in New York City to find a provider man, a generous man. They have to
get more money. There are even online posts teaching people how to profit from divorce. For many middle-class families, while the older generation saved enough to buy several houses, the next generation might not be able to earn enough to protect that wealth, making them the perfect target.
The new rules set guidelines of betrothal gifts and infidelity. Betrothal gifts go to the woman, and if one partner is unfaithful, they get a smaller share of the property. Any gifts given to a mistress must be reclaimed. This means that even without divorce, property can be divided during the marriage, and if a divorce happens, the husband might receive little or nothing. For the wealthy, this means both the wife and the mistress could end up taking money.
In fact, this makes divorce cases as unpredictable as Schrodinger's cat. Until the verdict is announced, no one knows how much they will lose, and in reality, divorce costs for the rich have increased dramatically. A new trend has emerged online. Since women no longer care only about houses, they now focus on a man's height, looks, intelligence, and emotional skills. What used to be a marriage secured by owning a house now demands you to be over 180 centimeters tall, have an 8-pack, and even know how to speak romantically.
Bro, these men are not going. These men are not going to go. These men are not going to get married, especially the wealthy ones. Oh, no. Oh, no. These women, they don't know what this law done. They don't have a clue what this law done. These men about to start. They about to run through these women, man. They about to run through these women.
Otherwise, no one will be interested. Some people think that these new rules will make Chinese people marry for love like those in developed Western countries.
No.
But in developed countries, low divorce rates aren't because the laws are amazing, but because the social safety nets are strong enough to allow marriages to be driven by emotion. In China, if a woman leaves her job to stay at home and finds herself with no means after a divorce, marriage becomes a battleground of interests rather than one based on love. In reality, asking for a house when getting married doesn't mean that the woman is trying to scam the man, and not every man who depends on his partner is deceitful. Some people simply want economic security or want to contribute through housework and childcare, efforts that are just as valuable. The new rules on household compensation protect these contributions and show that society is slowly recognizing the importance of this work. The real shock of China's new marriage law isn't found in the sensational headlines. The truth is that the government is trying to maintain social stability. One of the most common problems in divorces is the snatching and hiding of minor children.
Article 12 and 13 of Marriage 2 makes it clear, whoever takes the children loses. Whoever plans to take the kids away loses. It's meant to discourage men from taking their kids.
It's a bit stricter than before, but it's still just a cosmetic fix to cover up what has always been a top-down mandate.
Like I said, in the previous video, you had a man that was making like, I think, $1 million yuan per year. And he started checking the medical records of these women as well as their hotel check-ins to make sure they weren't partying. This is like he gonna start running. I'll tell you, these men with money are gonna start running through these women. I don't want no commitment. They gonna start telling them to their face, no commitment. I'm not even thinking about commitment. Let me tell you what I am thinking about. I'm thinking about X, Y, and Z. And guess what? I might not buy you anything else but some oysters. And that's gonna be the end of that. I'm not even gonna buy you a drink. You have to pay for that. I'm so good looking, I'm about to start flexing on y'all. That's what I see.
Not to move towards real fairness. If this new rule were truly biased against Chinese women in favor of men, then the top tier of Chinese feminists, the so-called T0 group, would have already taken to the internet with massive outcry, condemning this judicial interpretation in every possible way. These T0 women are not ordinary internet users. They're outspoken, well-organized activists on platforms like Weibo, Xiaohongshu, and Douban, known for quickly turning any gender issue into a major online storm. Yet right now, the online scene is surprisingly calm. There are no trending topics or overwhelming debates, only a few scattered complaints. This unusual quiet suggests that they do not see marriage 2 as a monster at all. They may even have found parts of the law that benefit them. The T0s have obviously seen that marriage 2 has not completely tilted to one side, so they are neither furious nor excited, but are just calmly weighing the chips they can still get. Why did the CCP launch this move in 2025? The answer lies in 3 factors: population, economy, and geopolitics. China is facing a severe population crisis, with the labor force expected to drop below 900 million by 2030. This trend poses a huge threat to both the economy and social stability. In the past, a woman's role in marriage was often seen as that of a housewife who depended on her husband's income and property as a safety net. But with a labor shortage, that model can no longer stand. The new rules change how property is divided in a divorce, weakening that safety net. For example, the division of property is now much stricter for the partner who does not work. This is designed to force women into the labor market. Without the security of property, they must work to gain economic independence and help fill the labor gap. At the same time, the rule aims to reshape family roles. The traditional model, where the man is the main breadwinner, is being replaced by a system where both partners contribute.
Yeah, they don't even want you staying home anymore. This is government working and doing that. They're going to make you be strong and independent as a woman. Woo!
Under this new system, marriage is no longer just an emotional bond. It becomes a functional contract meant to serve economic transformation and social stability. The CCP hopes that by reshaping the family structure, it can ease economic pressures and keep domestic affairs stable amid the broader US-China competition. At first, marriage 2 appears to simply regulate marriage, but its true purpose is to reinforce the social structure. The family is seen as a stabilizer. If couples work together to tackle economic challenges, social divides will lessen. But if marriages break apart, social instability could worsen. In this view, marriage is not just a personal choice, it's given a national mission, becoming part of a larger geopolitical game. Marriage is no longer seen as a necessity in life, but as a kind of business deal that requires weighing benefits against risks. You're
gonna have to have people that lower class, which is what happens over here, I think, in my opinion. They're gonna have to get married just to survive. That's just what I have to do in order, even if you don't like that person, that's just what I'm gonna have to do in order to get through. For people who are rich, you're not going to have that much of a necessity, in my opinion. You're going to be able to continue pretty much do whatever you want to do. It might put a little bit more pressure on your wallet, but this really what they're going for. They're digging into is the middle class. They want more people working.
Past, men held an advantage in the marriage market because of assets like property and cars, but the new rules diminish the value of property. Today, emotional value, social connections, height, intelligence, and similar traits have become the new assets. Men who lack these advantages might be edged out of the marriage market, and the survival space for some 30 million bachelors may shrink even further.
Man, these boys ain't.
On the other hand, highly educated women can thrive under these new rules, enjoying economic independence and legal protection, and may even use these functional marriages to climb the social ladder. However, women who rely on marriage to change their fortunes face even greater risks. Prenuptial agreements, choosing not to have children, and open relationships are gradually becoming more common. Marriage is no longer a lifelong commitment, but a customizable contract. The rise of the single economy is another major development. Products and services like mini appliances, single-serving meals, and AI companions are quickly becoming popular. People are starting to redefine what happiness and success mean, moving away from the traditional family model. In the end, these new rules tear away the warm sentimental view of marriage and reveal its true functional and utilitarian nature. This brings us to a deeper question. With the old rules thrown out, it's time for everyone to redefine the source of their own happiness.
What does that sound like to you guys? I know what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how I hear a lot of men say there's just no incentive for men to get married. Until they change the laws, I'm not doing it. I might want to be with you. We can be life partners, but I'm not allowing the government to get in my business. That's all it says to me. You know, you put out laws here and there that might hit one part of the female population that's trying to find super loopholes. But really all these women have to do is play it smart and act like they were really in it for love. And then the court, after a while, will start giving them things. God, I really don't see a man after there's going to be probably men getting married because they don't understand the law. But after a certain point in time, they're going to be like, you know what? I had a buddy of mine go through that, and I'm not doing that. Where do you see that happening at? You guessed it. Here in the United States. Hey, man, I saw this, and that. There's going to be a few of them still get married. But for the most part, they're going to be like, hey, man, no, I saw my dad go through that. I saw my uncle go through that. I saw my brother go through that. Absolutely not. Y'all are just screwing yourselves. The more y'all screw men in society, you're just screwing yourself. You're going to sit up here talking about the men don't help, men don't court, men don't approach. Oh, this is a single loneliness epidemic. Males not contributing to society. Males don't want to do this. They don't want to be involved in that. And it's going to be your own fault, quite honestly, quite frankly, because you got a lot of this foolishness going on. But do whatever you want to do. That's my opinion.